All right, everybody, welcome back to Mad Money. Today, we have the opportunity to talk to Setti Coscarella. He's the CEO of TAAT Global and ex-Philip Morris strategist. And I'm very excited to talk a little bit about the alternative smoking products that they are bringing to the market today. It's 40% cheaper than some of the alternatives that are on the market at the moment. Setti, thank you so much for talking to us. And I guess for retail investors that are looking at TAAT as a potential investment, what's the story you want to give them and the investing prospectus that you want to kind of get out into the market today?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Matt. Very happy to be here. So when it comes to TAAT, what it is a combustible product that acts as an alternative to traditional cigarettes. Now, what we've been able to do is figure out how to take our biomass, which is predominantly made out of hemp, and instead of having it taste like a cannabis-based product, we now understand how to flavor it to make it taste like a tobacco-based product, because our market is the tobacco market. We're going after people who otherwise smoke cigarettes. Okay. Now, for a lot of people, sometimes in North America, they'll take a look at it and say, well, great, but who still smokes? Well, I can tell you there's about 1.5 billion people around the world that still smoke, and the industry alone generates about, or coming up to $1 trillion a year in sales. So the market is extraordinarily large. There's a high number of smokers. There's almost 40 million smokers just in the US alone. So there's still a fair amount of people who smoke. And having worked at Philip Morris, I understand that a lot of smokers are looking for an alternative. In fact, the vast majority of smokers have tried alternative products. Yet when you take a look at the market, the number of smokers still outweighs the number of vapors 20-1. So if everybody's tried all of these other products, yet everybody's still smoking, it tells you what, the preferred delivery mechanism is. So if you really want to try to tackle and disrupt this market, in my mind, you got to give your consumers something they're most familiar with that they actually want, but give them a better product to use instead of the one that currently exists. And that's really what TAAT is. Our product doesn't have tobacco and it doesn't contain nicotine, so therefore it's not addictive. And I can tell you that smokers do not enjoy the fact that they're addicted to anything. The way that I always kind of looked at this market is if you took the tobacco industry and you overlaid it on top of the alcohol industry, all of the consumers would effectively be alcoholics, right?
Yeah.
Now, the alcohol industry does just fine without relying on all of its consumers to be alcoholics. So why can't we give the tobacco industry a similar viewpoint and give them something that isn't addictive, that is still just as enjoyable for smokers to use? The value proposition of this whole thing is we want to give smokers the power to choose back. And I think that with TAAT, we can do exactly that.
No, I think that's a really good introduction to the product as a whole. And I did see on your investor presentation a really good slide talking specifically about people that enjoyed the product. And you guys had some really favorable results associated with that because you have the 3 different flavors out right now. And then also the people that would actually thinking about actually purchasing the product in the future. What were some of the results and what did that kind of mean as somebody who recently just launched the product in December 2020?
So when we got it ready for commercialization, we ran some market research groups. We initially launched in Ohio. We've expanded outside of Ohio since then, but we ran focus groups with about 300 smokers, and we sent them product to use in home based on their flavor profile, and then polled them throughout the week to see, all right, how do you like the product? Would you use this product? Is this something that you would, continue to buy in the long term? And we found that the response was overwhelmingly positive. It was, I think, over 70% of people said they would absolutely buy this product, and that they felt better themselves when they smoked this versus smoking a cigarette. See, somebody smokes a cigarette, nobody ever says, hey man, I'm really rearing to go, right? They found that, the experience for them was better than that of smoking cigarettes. And then when we did is for those people that said, hey, I like it, I would buy it. We polled them after the fact, a couple of weeks later, to see whether they were still buying it. And the vast majority of them were still buying it. So that really gave us a lot of the proof that we needed to validate the product from a market standpoint, because listen, I can love the product. You can love the product. You can always find somebody that'll love the product. But the only way that this thing is going to work is if in the market, people like it. And we put it out to people unbiased and said, do you like it? And the response we got back, absolutely yes. So that really gave us a lot of the confidence we needed in our product to really begin a more aggressive push And since then, we've launched in a number of other states. We've also landed our first international order out of the UK and Ireland. So, from what was initially an interesting idea about 12 months ago, I think we've come a very, very long way in a very, very short period of time.
Yeah, I would say the market response has been absolutely phenomenal. I forgot to kick it off with obviously as of today, over the past 12 months, the share price is up 400%. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they have someone like you at the helm, coming from somebody like a big competitor like Philip Morris, who's also trying their alternatives and has seen some success as well. But I think that this gives another avenue that you're seeing is well responded with in terms of the share price increase in the market. And
Yeah, I
so,
mean, the market cap, when I started, I think the market cap was in and around 60 million. Right now, we're in and about 400 million. So I think we've done a pretty good job over the last year.
yeah, I'd definitely say so. So you did touch a little bit about the international expansion that's ongoing. I guess over the next 12 months, what can people kind of look forward to? You mentioned that you've expanded into multiple states. You're going obviously international as well. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the other markets you're trying to enter over the next 12 months or so?
Absolutely. So I think we're basically looking at it from a two-pronged approach, right? There's in the US, and then we're looking at Europe. So in the US, we're going to aggressively pursue expansion throughout as many states as we possibly can over the next 12 months. We've already added another 6. So I think we're definitely expanding at a rapid pace throughout the US, which is great. And every day we're adding more and more and more stores. So I think we're very close to cracking 600 points of sale just in the US in again, a relatively short period of time. Now, we also just started fulfilling, or we just received, sorry, a very large order out of the UK. It was about $1 million worth, 2 containers worth of product. So, I mean, we've sent product over there as a sample so that they can send it out to their retail partners, their distributors, to see what the appetite would be. And again, the response came back so overwhelmingly positive that they're ordering in magnitudes I wouldn't have expected initially.
Yeah.
So
$1 million is a lot of sales. Yeah.
yeah, the 2 containers worth is a lot of product. But again, that just kind of shows what their confidence is in the market for a product like this. And on the back of that, we really wanted to establish this toehold position in Europe with the UK. And we're in active conversations with a number of distributors across continental Europe. And I think that in short order, we'll be able to start announcing expansion plans in various countries throughout the continent. And I think for us, that's going to be the bulk of our commercialization efforts over the next 12 months. Again, like for a company that didn't have a product a year ago to we're now aggressively commercializing throughout the US and continental Europe, I'd say that's, again, it's a pretty good runway that we've been able to build. And I think that we're definitely going to be able to take advantage of it as best we can.
No, I would say it's pretty admirable having the product launched from December 2020 to being in multiple states and also getting $1 million orders across the Atlantic. I mean, I think that is a testament to the product itself, and obviously you forging ahead with what's going on. And that's obviously shown up in the share prices as well. So speaking of the stock market, you guys are listed on Canadian Stock Exchange, and then you're also listed on the OTC markets. On the Canadian Stock Exchange, you guys are TAAT, and then on the OTC markets, you guys are TOBAF. And you guys are also in Frankfurt as well, I think. I'm not too familiar with their ticker symbol, but what do you have? 2TP, okay. What do you have planned for, say, the stock? Is it going to stay on the OTC markets? Are you guys looking to do some sort of uplisting?
So we've applied for an uplisting to the NASDAQ. We're currently in that process now. So basically the way it works is you send an application, they take a look at, the company, they send you a bunch of questions, you answer them, and they send you some more questions and potentially some more questions. So it's basically just this back and forth while they get more familiar with the company, the capital structure, what's the sort of nature of the business that you're in, do they believe that this is something that's viable? And that's kind of really where we are in terms of the process. So we've had a number of rounds of questions that we supply answers to, and I think we're satisfying the vast majority of them, and sort of we're encouraged by the process. So hopefully we'll have some positive news on potentially uplisting soon.
No, it's interesting to kind of initially see a company such as yourself within such short order be able to go up so quickly, and then unleash a product that's obviously seeing really good response in the market, and then obviously in the stock market as well. So I guess, is there any 10, 15 second, maybe 30-second elevator pitch to anybody that's a retail investor that you want to kind of lock them in if they haven't been convinced already, or seen some of the great progress you guys have done already? What is the key thing that you want to touch on before we sign off?
I think when you take a look at the size of the market, I usually like to describe it as the Mount Everest of markets. Tobacco is approaching $1 trillion a year in sales. Okay. By comparison, the bottled water market does $250 billion a year in sales. So tobacco is 4 times as big as water. Okay. Now, when we take a look at commercialization, it's not like I'm looking to convert every single smoker that exists over to TAT. With a market that big, you can take fractional percentage points. So 1 out of 200 smokers as an example. If the market's almost $1 trillion a year, and we had 1 out of 200 smokers that like TAT, so 199 of them don't, 1 of them does, you're looking at doing $5 billion a year in revenue based on the math. So it really is one of those industries that if you have an interesting product, again, you can almost trip over your shoelaces and be doing tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars a year in sales. And again, if this is the Mount Everest of markets, we're just getting to base camp now.
Right.
So I think we've got a ton of runway ahead of us. We're in the process of starting to establish a lot of distribution points throughout the world. And I think that the future is bright.
I think that sums that up pretty much perfectly. I think that anybody that one is even trying to potentially wean themselves off of traditional tobacco use, they can use Beyond Tobacco, the product that you guys are selling, to do that. And also, I liked really what you had to say specifically about not everybody that buys alcohol is an alcoholic, but yet you have people that are addicted to these sort of traditional smoking products every single day that are legitimately addicted. And I think that just is proof in the pudding enough that you've kind of stumbled onto something that is extremely going to be useful, not only for the marketplace, but also as an investing prospectus going forward. And I know I'm going to be watching the stock. Hopefully I'll be able to have you on in the future as you guys continue to roll out into other markets, hopefully South America and other continents in the future as well. So Setti, thank you so much for taking the opportunity, and I'll hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks, Matt. Happy to do so.
Yeah, absolutely.